Photon Stream of Destruction. If you control a galaxy-eyes monster, target one card on the field, banish that target. It's so simple and sweet, and it seems so good. But here's a problem. You can only activate this card during your turn unless you control a galaxy-eyes photon dragon. But it's a quick play. I love quick play spells because they active spells and traps kind of sort of at the same damn time. No future. But you mean to tell me, regardless of what the card do, for me to play my favorite card type in the game, specifically for this card, I have to play and have out a Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon. This is only an activation requirement. I mean, sure, you can play it the same times you could play a quick play spell during your turn, but I understand why the restrictions are there. Because if this card didn't have those restrictions and it just simply said target a card on the field, banish that target, they would have to limit, if not ban this. It would be too good, everybody would play it. And then graveyard-based things would have no chance in hell. Oh, well, you got banished, so I guess, is that like heaven? Because you're not in the graveyard? Tachyon Transmigration. This one is a counter trap, which makes a little bit more sense. If you control a Galaxy-Eyes monster, here we go with that fucking activation requirement again. Negate the activations of your opponent's spell trap cards and monster effects activated before this card in this chain. That's some complicated motherfucking shit. Not really, I was just fucking around. And if you do, shuffle the negated cards on the field into the deck. So if there was a monster that activated in the graveyard and is in the graveyard, it doesn't get shuffled into the deck, right? I know that was a dumbass question because it says the shit on the field on the card. If you control a Galaxy-Eyes Tachyon Dragon monster, you can activate this card from your hand. So it is simple as you summoning a Galaxy-Eyes Tachyon Dragon monster. Your opponent plays something like Solemn Scolding. Look, I have a feeling that that card is going to be useful sometime in the future. I keep bringing it up because it does negate everything. Everything? But seriously, you mean to tell me you would not feel a little bit of satisfaction and joy if you negate a Solemn Scolding with Tachyon Transmigration? I'm just saying, it's the same thing with Wiretap. But this time, if you have a Tachyon Dragon out, you can play it from your hand. So I'm the only one. Okay. Unlike Photon Stream, this basically acts as its native card type. If your opponent decides to do something, because Tachyon Dragon is a boss, and if they try to do something to get rid of your boss, you could be like, fuck you nigga, I am keeping my boss. No Rick Rose. These two cards, in my opinion, have been pushed in terms of their effect. And the only reason why these probably won't see that much play, if any, is because of their restrictions. Them needing to have Galaxy-Eyes on the field to activate them makes sense. Because these cards, outside of an archetype being generic, would cause some huge issues. I would be wondering my goddamn self, why the fuck did you make this shit, Konami? Wasn't you trying to make the game better? This is a perfect example of cards with the restrictions that it has actually makes the card safe to produce. I don't normally say this, but I can appreciate them making the cards basically kind of unplayable, rather than them just being, and I don't use this term often either, Baroque. But that is just me. If you're already going deep and playing Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon, there's like a whole archetype built around this motherfucker, so it isn't really too deep, but I don't think it's necessarily shallow. How many of each card would you play? Well, that's a good question, Bob, imaginary person. Photon Stream, in my opinion, is pretty bad. Just looking at what it actually does, banishing a card, seems like something you would want to run 3 of. Most of the time, it is going to be acting as an MST, or like a Smashing Ground, that does randomly banish a Shadow monster, or a Dante, or any graveyard-based card. At least I wouldn't want to play just one Photon Stream, but since you can't search it, Galaxy Wizard only searches Galaxy cards, makes perfect sense. How many are you safe with playing? I mean, you could put some draw in your deck or whatever, but for the most part, you cannot exactly control when you draw the card, and because it has that shitty-ass requirement, it might not be good when you draw it. It's either play 3 of or not at all, in my opinion. I just would choose not to play it. Tachyon Transmigration, on the other hand, again, acts as a counter trap, should. You could probably play like 1 or 2 of it, Activating a counter trap that does this and shuffles things back into the deck is kind of like Temple Loss, depending if they wanted that card out the deck so they don't draw it. Well, put that motherfucker back. I don't expect a whole lot of effects to be negated with this card, but if it is, nigga. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Appreciate that shit. If you would like to support me, all I ask is you spend literally seconds out your day and click an advertisement. Money accumulated from you doing that shit goes towards rent. And I am grateful and happy and appreciative as a motherfucker if you could find some time to do that. I am going to change my shirt just as soon as this shit starts stinking. The deodorant's saving it right now. You ain't gonna be safe forever, motherfucker. Why the fuck am I talking to a shirt?